Woman from California is recognized for 5 minutes.
Mr. Speaker, last week I reintroduced the Security and Financial Empowerment Act, better known as the SAFE Act, to help stop a cycle of violence that exists in many American families today. Domestic violence, dating violence, sexual assault, and stalking are serious, widespread social problems which impact all Americans regardless of race, ethnicity, or social status. The reality of this violence is highlighted by the fact that 1 in 4 American women report being physically or sexually abused at some point in their life. These serious crimes, primarily against women, have both physical and psychological consequences. Yet credible research has found that many women stay in abusive relationships because they cannot support themselves. As a result, many victims are faced with the terrifying decision of living with the abuse or leaving without financial security. For victims of domestic violence, this choice is even more daunting during tough economic times like now. For research tells us that as the economy worsens, the incidence of violence increases. The SAFE Act will provide the safety net many need to create a safe and stable environment for themselves and their children by eliminating obstacles that may prevent them from gaining meaningful employment or seeking help. My bill makes it possible to take limited leave from work for safety planning and necessary court appearances without the threat of losing a job. The SAFE Act also provides job protection when reasonable workplace safety modifications are requested. To protect victims of violence who seek help against their abuser, the SAFE Act prohibits employers or insurance providers from basing insurance coverage or hiring decisions on an individual's history of abuse. The SAFE Act also makes a survivor of domestic and dating violence, sexual assault, and stalking eligible for unemployment insurance if it is necessary to leave a job to escape the abuse. Madam Speaker, the SAFE Act is needed to provide these victims with equal protection throughout our country. While several states have laws similar to the SAFE Act, the reality is that today a person's financial ability to leave an abusive environment depends primarily on where they live. I thank the many dedicated advocates who daily work to empower women against the horrific crimes of dating and domestic violence, sexual assault, and stalking for their invaluable input, expertise, and support of the SAFE Act. I encourage my colleagues to join me and Representative Ted Poe in co-sponsoring and helping to pass the SAFE Act, which for many of these victims can make the difference between life and death. I yield back the balance of my time.
Gentlelady.